Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Nets Republic. Today is a special edition of the final episode of this particular offseason of the dang on series. I forgot the name on series. Season review. Today, I'm telling you exactly why James Harden did nothing wrong. Yes, it's finally that time. I waited until the very last one to spring it on you. Let's jump into the shenanigans. But before I do so, please note that we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So please tell a Nets fan to subscribe to the channel. This episode is strictly for one purpose and one purpose only. That is to make you irate. That is to make you angry. That is to make you upsetty McBetty. That's to make you cross if you're Thomas the Tank Engine. So let's get into the shenanigans, shall we? James Harden, season review. James Harden was only with us for a little over half of the season, if you will. If you count the games he actually tried in, then he was only there for half of the season. From the very beginning, something was awry. James Harden was coming into training camp a little bit out of shape. A lot of it out of shape. He was back in the fat suit, if you will, and it would have appeared that over the summer while he was nursing the hamstring injury, he was doing literally everything else under the sun. Remember when he and Lil Baby got arrested? I don't think that's snitching anymore. I feel like we're all aware of what happened, so it's okay to go over the history of what it was. They were off in Paris doing whatever it is that those two do, up to shenanigans, if you will, up to the tomfoolery, you feel me, doing everything but getting in the gym and getting ready for the season. So when James Harden flopped his way into training camp, there were multiple reports saying that Kevin Durant was astonished. Kevin Durant had his mouth ajar, scraping across the floor, if you will, wondering what the jive was going on with Mr. James Neuro Hardy. James Harden. I don't know how I'm getting away with a lot of the things I say on camera, but that's not even there. I found that joke absolutely hilarious, and it's okay if no one else did, but that's not even there. Mr. James Harden came into training camp out of shape. Came into training camp a little bit obese, if you will, and not to be ableist or to weight shame anyone, but he was definitely not at fight weight, you feel me? He was not ready to go, and you could physically see it. We don't know how he felt about Kyrie and the vaccine mandates or whatever, because James Harden will probably never tell us his real feelings about going into last season. But it was clear that he was a little bit upset and extremely frustrated. James Harden came to the Brooklyn Nets for one reason and one reason only, and that was to win a championship. You could see for how he gave his metaphorical life to play in game 5, 6, and 7 after Kyrie Irving went down with his injury in game 4 of the 2021 playoffs against the Milwaukee Bucks. You could see even though James Harden left with the hamstring injury in the first literal minute of the series, he was somehow able to play his way through. Didn't really do that much, but he was able to be out there, which was very commendable. I remember all of us were saying that he might as well just sit on the bench and just let Kevin Durant do his thing, but he would not die. He was on his Matt Hardy and he would not die. So you could tell that his mentality was championship or bust. So when Kyrie Irving was clearly not on the same page as everyone else, and James Harden had come there for one reason and one reason only, to win at all costs, it seemed like there was a little bit of a conflicting narrative. Now, I'm just simply giving you the story. I have not given any opinions outside of calling that man fat. There are no opinions yet. Now it's time for opinions. When the season did start and there was no Kyrie Irving because he was sent home because he was not able to play the home games, and the Nets said you won't play the away games either. Spoiler alert, he comes back because the team was trash. But that's neither here nor there. In the beginning portion of it, it was James Harden and Kevin Durant. And for a little while, teams did not quite understand that this was not the James Harden of old. This was new Harden. This was slower Harden. This was not quite on his toes Harden. Again, not at fight weight, if you will, James Harden. And for the first couple games, they were double-teaming Harden. They were double-teaming Harden, and Kevin Durant was wide open. Everyone else was getting their shenanigans off, and everything was perfect until other teams started to realize that you did not have to guard James, because he was not only not looking to score, but he was incapable of doing so. Something a lot of people kind of gloss over is the fact that even when he was with us the first time, like I'm talking about the season before, James Harden was not hitting his threes. Now he didn't have his little quick step, his little burst, his little first step. So James Harden was out there, for lack of a better term, handicapped, if you will. And it was a crying shame. And when teams started to understand that, they started to leave that man alone. Now, again, the fact that James Harden was not only not even looking to score, but was not even able to score, made life difficult for Kevin Durant. That's when we started to free fall down the standings. Like, whoa, did I forget how to whistle? There we go. I don't know what just happened there, but that's not here or there. That's when we started to free fall down the Eastern Conference, and things got a little nasty, if you will. Now, eventually everyone on the team either got hurt or got COVID, and at one point it was just really James Harden out there by himself, and he did his best. He did his best. Without a three-pointer, he was able to carry us to several victories, like who could forget the Lakers victory, which I referenced quite a bit on Christmas Day. He was able to lift us to multiple feats and heights. But then James Harden, and they invited Kyrie Irving back. Kyrie Irving gave the entire team COVID, ironically, and then he was in and out of the lineup, and James Harden was clearly frustrated with it and was just not with it. Kevin Durant would get hurt from Bruce Brown doing a coffin drop on his knee, hyperextending it. So it was just sometimes Kyrie Irving, but mainly just James Harden. And Harden wasn't having it and requested a trade and forced his way out by not trying and literally giving up and having performances where he would only score 2 points in a game, which was obviously not going to work. So they got rid of him, which is completely understandable. But the one thing I will throw out there before we do the proper grading is, can you blame James? The answer is yes, because again, on the surface level, you don't want to deal with the shenanigans that the Nets were going through. We knew we were doomed from the start, but we like to throw this type of blame on James Harden. Unfortunately, it's the way he did it. If he just played it out and just said, yo, I want to be traded, but I'm still going to play, then that's one thing. But let's not forget, James Harden was having performances where he was scoring 2 points in games. Let's not forget that. That man was absolute garbage on his way out. I have this here strictly for the reverence of that man and simply from the good old days when we had all three of them. Because when we had all three of them, no one could stop us. So that's why I have it up here. And also because it makes you mad and I find it hilarious when I read the comments, but that's not here or there. But just a reminder of what we could have had. Which again is why we have the Karis LeVert jersey as well, because it's what we could have had. Which is ironic because they both tie into each other. We gave up this for that, and now we have none of it. Just a little daily reminder of that, but that's not here or there. Offensively, now that we've gotten done with the history, offensively, I have to give James Harden a C. From the standpoint of, again, there were multiple times where he was able to get his little floater off, and if you count passing the ball as offense, then yes, he did a very good job of that. Not many turnovers on his side, even though the records will show that him and Westbrook were duking it out for who could have the most turnovers in a season, but he was a primary decision maker, so I dust off a little bit of that. But offensively, he was not able to shoot any longer, and he did not have that first step. And again, the only reason why I'm giving him a C and not an F is because there were multiple performances where it was basically him by himself, and he was able to do a lot of shenanigans, which I will give him credit for, and that is still James Harden, so on name brand, I will give him a C. Defensively, I have to give that man an F, because what defense did that man play? When we first got him, he was playing defense. He didn't want to score, but he was playing D. But that last year, Jesus, that's some of the work. Like, even Kyrie puts up a little bit more effort than that. Now, that you will have your Harden stands who will say, but what about the post? What about in the post? What about in the post? I have to return with what a boot in the post. I didn't see any last year. No post defense whatsoever. That man is a traffic cone. Remember what Pat Beverly was saying about Chris Paul? He's a traffic cone. You just go around him. I didn't see any defense from that man whatsoever. So offense, I'm giving him a C. Defense, I'm giving him an F. We'll make a separate category for playmaking. I'll give him a B, just from the standpoint of he was the coach and he was running the team, because we know Steve Nash doesn't do any of the above. So I'll give him a B for running the team. Didn't do it very well, but I'll give him a B for running the team. And some of those assists were pretty good. Made Claxton look incredible. You feel me? There was some times where James Johnson was looking decent with James Harden out there. There were times, so I'll give him a B because he was the acting coach, so I'll give him a B there. And overall grade, I have to give him an F because he quit on us. Maybe numerically, that doesn't make sense, giving homie a C and then an F and then a B. You feel me? That's at least a C letter grade. But the man literally gave up on us. So I have to give him an F as an overall grade. It should be a W for withdrawing, if you will. But I got to give him an F because he gave up on us. That was some of the most lackluster basketball I think I've ever seen towards the end of his tenure. And then straight up just didn't play, literally. Like legitimately did not play. Blamed it on injury and just didn't play. Then held up the process, no pun intended, when we got Ben Simmons, when we got Seth Curry, when we got Drummond. Harden was off partying in an adult club somewhere, if you will, on his Grand Theft Auto, and was holding up the proceedings. So while we were trying to find the whereabouts of James Harden, we weren't able to play our new additions. No, Bobby Brown. Was Bobby Brown a new addition? I don't know. Someone's going to have to let me know in the comments, but that's not into there. But anyway, we weren't able to play our new additions because Harden was holding it up. How he passed his physical is beyond me, but that's not here or there. This has been the final edition of season review for this offseason. We ended it with James Harden. And see, I was critical of him. Yeah, I was critical. I said mean things about him. I still love him. But I said mean things about him, so therefore I think I deserve a cookie for being unbiased. Sever the Bond was very unbiased this video, and I feel like I deserve some type of reward for it. Oh, I forgot to say, if at any time you want to get some cool merch, go on to netsrepublic.com, hit the shop icon, and get you a shirt. You really should. They look absolutely wonderful. And in fact, hoodie season's coming up. You need to cop you a hoodie while you're at it, but that's not here or there. When it starts getting cold and y'all see me on camera, you feel me, with the Darby Allin hoodie on, you feel me, and it says Nets Republic across the chest, y'all gonna feel left out. Y'all are gonna feel left out because you're not with the cool squad. Don't you want to be at the lunch table with the cool kids? We all got Nets Republic merch on. You're going to be walking out with what? Some Nike? Mid. You're going to be coming in with some Adidas? Mid. You want to come to the lunch table with the Nets Republic regalia on. Don't you? Because I'm sorry, Pimp Juice, you can't eat at my table if you ain't got the new fits on. If you ain't got the Nets Republic fits on, you ain't eating at my table. It's as simple as that. The only exception we'll have is if you show up in the Blake Griffin jersey. Then by all means you can eat with us without any type of Nets Republic merch. But if you ain't got the Blake Griffin jersey, I'm so sorry, but you ain't eating at my lunch table. And that's on period. You dig? But that's not either there. I'm scared to say this, but let me know your thoughts on how James Harden played with us last year. He was only there for half the season, but let me know your thoughts on Mr. James Harden. Do you blame him for abandoning and quitting on us? Or do you think James Harden had a point and we should all abandon ship before it's too late? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm sure you already have. Sever the Bond. Nets Republic. I'll see y'all tomorrow to talk about whatever Ben Simmons is talking about tomorrow on this JJ Redick podcast. I'll see you then. Yeah.